Hello friends, welcome back or welcome to my channel if you've never been here before. My name is Bree and today I'm going to be doing my May wrap up. Let's get into it. So May was one of the first months I went back to kind of setting like a TBR. It was a very loose TBR because I'm very much a mood reader. I never know what I'm gonna want to dive into, but I also get overwhelmed with all of the books that I want to read. So sometimes I feel like it's better to be like, here is this like 40 books that I could read this month. Let me just choose from these for this month. So I set my May TBR and I had a bunch of books on there and I honestly did a really good job in my opinion of like getting through them all. So like hats off to me for that. So for May, I read a total of 23 books. 15 of those were ebooks and 3 of those were audiobooks and the rest were all physical books or like a mix. Some of them were a mix. 3 of my reads were ARCs and 5 of my reads were 5-star reads. And I also had a lot of like bummers, just to be completely honest. So I'm gonna start with my lowest ranked books so that we can get them out of the way and then I can focus on my higher ranked books. The first womp womp book of the month was Wild and Wrangled. It like honestly kills me because this book was one of the books I was most excited for. I really enjoyed the Rebel Blue Ranch series as a whole, and since book 2 I wanted Cam and Dusty's book. I thought I was going to relate to Cam a lot. I really liked Dusty. I thought it was going to be like a phenomenal book and I absolutely hated it, the whole thing. I listened to it on audio and it just ruined everything for me. I hated Cam so much and I know like I'm sorry if you relate to her, like I totally get that. It sucks when someone hates on your character that you relate to a lot. I relate to Nesta a lot. Everyone always hates her. Like I understand, it sucks, but it is what it is. Like I really hated her. I thought she was whiny. I thought she was selfish. I thought she was immature. And the only time I really liked her was when she was being a mom. I loved those scenes. I thought she was a great mom. I wish we had gotten more of those. But I know for me personally, I just really struggle with the whole like I'm a grown woman but I have to listen to everything my parents say even though they're terrible people trope. Like it just does not work for me. I really hate it. I don't think it's ever well written in my opinion, at least like for me, but that's mostly because I just cannot relate to it, like being a pushover for terrible people. Like I can't wrap my brain around it. Like I just want them to like scream screw you and leave, but it never happens that way. So, and I know like that's a me thing, so most of my friends really enjoyed this book. It's totally like subjective for me, but yeah, it was 2 stars, a really soft 2 stars. I hated that the series ended this way, but the rest of the series was really good for me. Like I loved them all. The next book that was also want was an ARC and it was Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. This series has been one of my favorite series. Before I Let Go is like an infinity star read for me. I love that book with my whole heart and soul. And then This Could Be Us was also 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. But in both of those books, like I really loved Hendrix as a character and I couldn't wait to get to her story. And I got the ARC. I was so excited and I hated it. Like I literally hated it. I thought the relationship was not developed well. I thought that it was really rushed in total. I think we kind of lost the like plot in there for me. Also, there was a lot of like other woman ex-girlfriend drama, which is also just a trope that I really hate. And I didn't really know that was going to be so prevalent in this story when I picked it up, and it was. And typically I can like move past it if we like have a purpose to it or there's closure, and I felt like there wasn't any of that in this book. Like it was really heavy at the front and then we kind of forgot about it, but then we kept bringing it up and it just did not work for me. I felt like so much of that was like in the background noise of their relationship and it didn't really like connect with me. I felt like the relationship couldn't be genuine then because I was listening to so much of this other woman drama. Also, there's like a lot that happens in the last like 100 pages that's like introduced, and I understand like why she was introducing it because I read her author's note, but it just didn't feel developed to me well. It didn't feel like a part of the story. It felt just really like shoehorned in, and then there was no closure with it, so then it just felt like there wasn't a purpose to putting it in there, and I just couldn't do it. And I hate that because I wanted to love this book so much. I will say my favorite part of the book still was like the friendship and girl gang and like adult livelihood, and I thought the dementia representation in the beginning was done really well. I feel like that also kind of fell off towards the end, but in the beginning, like, I thought it was written really well and was very relatable to people who have had to deal with that. So there were a lot of lows and there were a few highs, but mostly this book just like did not work for me at all. My final 2-star book of the month, which I had 3 2-stars, which is really unheard of for me. I feel like I'm a fairly easy rater and I give a lot of 5 stars and I'm unashamed about that, but this month, like, you know it's bad when I have 3 2-stars, and it was On Wings of Blood. I have been pushed this book by everyone I know. All the fantasy lovers, they were like, it's Fourth Wing, meets Harry Potter, meets Zodiac Academy with vampires, which are all things that I love. So I was like, I'm going to love this book. No, I hated it. I felt like there was barely any world building. And also, apparently this is kind of like a spin-off of another series, which I didn't know it when I first started reading it. Like, it wasn't really like marketed as that. So then I started reading and I had no idea what was going on, and I felt like I was like in the dark and like there was a whole background story I was missing. I just didn't care about the characters. I know that our MMC was supposed to be this like broody, like protective, grumpy hero, but I thought he was just kind of a jackass. To be like 100% honest, I wasn't that invested in my FMC. I just didn't really care about her, and there were like a lot of things that were happening but then never fully like addressed anymore, and like the ending had this big like moment, but then it kind of fell flat for me and felt really anticlimactic. Overall, I just felt like it was kind of a mess. There was not enough world building for me. There's not enough character development. I just could not get into it at all. Like, it ended and I just didn't care. So I haven't picked up book 2. Some people say book 2 is better, some people say it's worse. I don't really know. If I usually continue series, but I honestly don't know if I will with this one. It's just where I'm at. Next, I listened to Any Trope But You on audio. I had, again, been recommended this by so many friends, and they were like, 5-star, amazing. And so I went into it like thinking I was gonna love it. I listened to it on audio and it was okay, but I just was not feeling it. I also, for me personally, like, if I hate the FMC or can't connect to her or have a hard time like rooting for the FMC, a lot of times I have a hard time with the book, and this FMC was insufferable to me. Like, I just could not connect with her, and I understood like why she was the way she was based on her background and her family experience, but it's still like I just couldn't get past it, and so it made the book really hard for me to like push through. And I finished it. I gave it 3 stars. There were parts that I liked, but there were more parts that I just didn't care about, so that's where that came from. The next book was one of my most anticipated reads of the entire year, and again, I didn't love it. I feel like this book video has been such a bummer so far, so sorry. There are good books coming, I promise. We just gotta get all of these out of the way. So it was Sawyer by Jessica Peterson. Again, this series so far has been all 5 stars for me. I loved Cash, 5 stars. I loved Wyatt, 5 stars. I loved Sawyer in both Cash and Wyatt. I couldn't wait for him to get his own book. Like, single dad is my favorite trope. I was here for it. No. I feel like Sawyer was like the epitome of like the perfect man, but because everything else in the books fell so flat for me, I ended up not loving him as much as what I expected. I did not like Ava at all. Again, like, I hate the FMC, I'm gonna hate the book, and I just could not get behind her. I also feel like they weren't compatible at all besides like sex, but then it was like everyone kept telling Sawyer that he needs to like change his dreams because all that matters is the person, not what he always dreamed of for his life, and that felt really weird to me. Like, I just couldn't get behind it. Also, like, I was so over Ava talking about how much she hates being in marriage. Like, you had a really bad guy, I get it. I understand why she felt that way, but if I had to listen to her rant about how unfair marriage is to women one more time, I was gonna jump off a cliff. Like, girl, go get therapy. That's all I had to say. And then also she kept being like, well, my ex-husband didn't do this, but Sawyer is better. And by like the halfway point of the book, I was like, we get it. Sawyer's great. Why are you not, like, if he's so great and you keep telling yourself how great he is, why aren't you going for it? Like, I just couldn't. I love the scenes with the little girls. I love them being friends. I loved all the found family moments, but overall, this was just not a hit for me. The next book was Bouquets and Buckles. This is a novella in the Crimson Ridge series by Elliot Rose. I mean, this was like the first book, but without as much plot and way more smut. It was alright. I gave it 3 stars. I read it. It was a time. It was average. It was solid. It is what it is. The next book was Braving the Storm by Elliot Rose, which is also a part of the Crimson Ridge series. This is really taboo, forbidden, forced proximity, grumpy cowboy. I gave it 3.5 stars. I did not like it as much as the first book, but I still overall enjoyed it. Like, I'm probably still gonna read the next book, so that's where we're at with that. Also read Phantasma this month, which I've had so many friends give 5 stars, so I thought I was going to love it. Maybe I should just stop listening to my friends. I feel like that's a recurring theme in this video. I don't know. I thought I was gonna love it. I went into it, I felt it was really unique. I thought it was a really fun concept. Everything didn't really work for me. Like, I just needed a little more of everything. And also Ophelia, like, I was just like, girl, every single trial, they're like, remember, call me as soon as you get in the trial. And then she gets to the trial, and she's like, I don't need him. I'm going to go do dumb stuff. Then realize I need him halfway through when everyone's, like, dying. And then she would call for Blackwell. And I was like, girl, how many times have we had the same conversation? He's like, call me as soon as you get there. She says yes. Then she doesn't. So that got really old to me by, like, the third trial. I was like, girl, just call for his help. Like, you need his help. You do. But I still enjoyed it. It just wasn't my favorite, so I gave it 3.5 stars. And then I started the Monster Trilogy by Rena Kent. Rena Kent's backlist is a little, I don't really want to say intimidating. It's not intimidating because I love really long series. I love interconnected series. I think it's just like there's so many people who tell you different ways to start, and there's so many books, and I have other books I want to read, so then I'm like, I don't want to start that yet because I want to like give time to it if I start it. But this month I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna pick a random one, which, you know, may work for me, it may not work for me. I don't really know if I recommend it doing it that way, but it's where we're at. It's what I did. So I picked the Monster Trilogy, and I really enjoyed the whole trilogy. It's Blood of My Monster, Lies of My Monster, and Heart of My Monster. The first book was 3.5 stars for me, and the next two were 4. This is Sasha and Kirill. It's kind of got like Mulan vibes, where Sasha is pretending to be a boy in the army to like figure out this revenge plot for her family that was killed. And then she meets Kirill, and turns out Kirill's father is the one who supposedly killed her family. And so then she goes back and joins the mafia and keeps pretending to be a boy. He obviously finds out she's not. There's so many twists and plot turns, and like the tension is so thick. I ate this series up. I literally binged it in like 3 days, I think. It was super bingeable. It's all on KU. If you want mafia romance, like, this is it. So then I got an arc of Releasing 10 by Chloe Walsh. This book has so much controversy right now, and I think it's a little undeserved. Actually, I think it's a lot undeserved. And so here's my little spiel on it. I've read the Boys of Tommen series, and it's been like a solid 3.5 to 4 star series for me, with Taming 7 getting 5 stars. I love that book. I'll have a whole nother video about that one day. But I knew going in that this series covers heavier topics. Like, if you read the series at all, you know it covers heavy topics. I also knew from Gibbsy's book what he went through with Mark Allen, and I figured that this book would probably have the same thing happening to Lizzie. And it did. And it was dark, and at times graphic, and it was a little depressing, and it was hard to read. And so for me, I don't really have a lot of triggers. I can usually read almost anything. I don't really struggle, and even I struggled with this book. So when I made my review, I made it really clear, like, this book won't be for everyone. Really pay attention to the author's note, listen to other people telling you the triggers. Like, you really need to think before you go into this book because of how heavy it is and how dark it is. And I get it. Like, if it's not going to be for everyone, it shouldn't be for everyone. Like, you really have to make the decision for yourself if you're going to read it, because what Lizzie has been through is horrifying and absolutely disgusting and terrible, and no child, let alone human being, should have to be put through that. But I do think the backstory is important for the overall story that is being told. And I think a lot of people have, instead of just being like, wow, this material isn't for me, this is really graphic and heavy, I don't want to read it, they've been like, wow, Chloe Walsh is a terrible person, she's romanticizing abuse, she's doing all these things, which is not true. Like, this book does not romanticize these events at all. In fact, it's actually terrifyingly graphic and horrible, and telling you, like, these are awful things that are happening and you should be disgusted. So I am not a Chloe Walsh hater. I will defend her. If you hate her, maybe learn to critically think. Not to be rude, but, and that's not to say that this means this book is for everyone. It's not. Like, you can still have those feelings about this book without turning it into a hate train on Chloe Walsh. Now that whole diatribe is done, I gave this 3.5 stars. I still enjoyed it. There were a lot of problems I had with it, but I also overall liked it. I love the scenes of Gibbsy and Claire as kids. Like, Gibbsy and Claire are my favorites. Every moment with them is so good. I love Lizzie a lot. I still think you can understand her behaviors more without condoning everything she's ever done, but this book definitely, like, put you into her mindset and where she was at in other events and other books. Huey was almost too perfect for me, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I had a little bit of problem with him, but I still loved him. I think my biggest problem with this book is that they're like 5 to 8 and they're talking like they're like 20 to 30. And, you know, when I said that in my review, people came after me and they're like, no, you don't understand. Trauma ages kids up and Huey's an old soul. Like, I get that. I understand trauma ages kids up, and I understand Huey's an old soul, but I don't care how old of a soul you are. Like 6-year-olds are not going to be able to like eloquently discuss the nuances of bipolar disorder and grief and self-harm and suicide and all these things that this book deals with, that I think was handled in a good way, but also is unrealistic because like 4 to 6-year-olds are discussing it and 7 to 13-year-olds. Also, there were a few more like spy scenes in there than I would have liked. Not the abuse and everything like that is separate from the actual spy scenes because they are like 12 to 14, and I just am not okay with that. Again, my biggest pet peeve of the series is that it's marketed as YA, which is not Chloe Walsh's fault. She actually says on her website and everywhere she talks about it that it should be for 18 plus. That's a Bloom's Books problem, and I really think that they need to learn to remarket things, because just because these are about young kids does not mean they're for young kids. Like, I would not let anyone under 18 read this series, in my personal opinion. Like, it is dark, it is heavy, it is a lot. You need to have more of a development to be able to read them and discuss them like correctly. That's my personal opinion. If you have a different one, you're welcome to it, but you're not going to change mine. Now we're into my 4 and 5-star reads. So my first 4-star read of the month was Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I feel like this book has gotten a lot of like flack and hate from like normal Emily Henry book lovers, but for me, I really liked it. I think in my total Emily Henry ranking, it's like number 4. Like, I liked it more than Happy Place, and I liked it more than People We Meet on Vacation, but not more than like Beach Read, Book Lovers, Funny Story. Like, those were my top 3, but I still really enjoyed it. I will say that I feel like it's definitely more women's fiction with a romance subplot. Like, the romance is not like the number one thing about this book that everyone will be talking about. And so I think if you don't like the other half of the story, which is about Margaret Ives and the like family dynamics and kind of like Taylor Jenkins Reid-ish story, then you're not going to enjoy this book. But I really loved it. I actually liked that even more than the romance, and I listened to it on audio and I thought it was done phenomenal. So 4 stars for me. I really enjoyed it. My next 4-star read was The Twisted Throne by Danielle Jensen. I'm not gonna lie, the beginning of this book was really slow for me, especially considering like the first 5 books in the Bridge Kingdom I absolutely loved and I had no trouble getting into. If you don't know what the Bridge Kingdom series is, it's going to be 6 books, and it's basically like 3 sets of duologies. So the first 2 books are Laura and Aaron's story, and Aaron is Anna from this book's older brother. And then the next 2 books are Karis and Zara's stories, and then the last 2 books are going to be James and Anna's. So this is book 5. Book 6 comes out later this year. And there's like a few overlapping timelines, especially for books like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But this one pretty much takes place like after the events of book 4. And so she's like fulfilling a marriage contract. She goes and falls in love with the wrong son of the king. There's all these twists and betrayals, and the like beginning of it was a little slow for me. Like, I really struggled. But by the halfway point, things were picking up, in the last like 150 pages were absolutely bonkers. Like, I couldn't keep up. So many things were happening, so many betrayals. I still fully don't know like who all betrayed who and who is like the leader of these different plots, but it kept me on the edge of my seat, and I cannot wait for the final book. I feel like it's going to blow me away. Then my next 4-star read was These Infinite Threads. I read This Woven Kingdom last month, so in April. Yeah, I read it in April, and it was 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it, but I didn't like absolutely love it. However, with her other series, the Shatter Me series, it was kind of the same way. Like, the first book I really liked, but I wasn't like fully bought in. Like, I wasn't fully set. Like, there are things that didn't jive with me personally. So I knew that I wanted to continue, especially because the last like 50 pages of This Woven Kingdom were crazy and it left on a big cliffhanger. So I was like, okay, I need to get to the next one. So I started this and I absolutely love it. I feel like this book is a little slower in that it's more character-based than plot-based, because you're really getting to know Cyrus and you're really getting to know Eliza and like their story and their journey and what the next steps are. I absolutely ate it up. I'm in love with Cyrus. He is that man. He's Aaron Warner in a different font. Like, he's not fully Aaron Warner, but he's like got some of the same vibes that you love from him. And so I ate it up. I loved it. I'm starting book 3 right now and I cannot wait. My next 4-star book was Bourbon and Lies. I have been told to read this book by like so many people, and they kept saying, you learn to love this, you love romantic suspense, read it, blah, blah, blah. And it took me forever to listen because sometimes I'm stubborn. But I'm glad that I finally did, because it was so good. I loved Lainey and Grant as characters. Grant was very different than what I was expecting. Like, I thought he was going to be broody, like kind of a jerk, like hates love, especially with his past. But like, he got down bad for Lainey early on, and he was like living in it. He's like, this is where I'm at. It's reality. Like, what are we gonna do? And I loved that. I loved the setting. I loved the suspense. I loved like bourbon making history in it. Like everything about it just worked for me. I cannot wait to start book 2. And then I read The Wolf King by Laura something. I'm not even going to attempt to say her last name because I can't say names correctly. It is who I am as a person. I had, again, a ton of people recommend this to me. It was one of my top 10 fantasy books to get to this year, like on my TBR. I really enjoyed it. I do feel like I needed a lot more world building. I feel like a lot of things were kind of like left in the air. I didn't know what was happening, but the characters really worked for me. The storyline really worked for me. The ending, total cliffhanger. I don't know, like, if I hate this one character, if I love him, I kind of want to love him, but I feel like he's going to end up being the villain, but I don't want him to be. I don't know. There's so much happening. I cannot wait for book 2. It's on my TBR for this month. And now we're at my 5-star reads. So my first 5-star read of the month was Diary Bound by Sable Sorensen. I absolutely devoured this book. I think this is going to be the next big romantasy book. I know that there's some like whispers of controversy around this book, and I'm just telling you, I read the whole thing. I couldn't tell anything was up with it. I absolutely loved it. The plot was there. The character development was there. The twists and turns were there. My jaw was on the floor so many times. Even the twists and turns that were like predictable, I didn't care because the way they were executed was so good. The ending had my jaw on the floor. I honestly loved everything about this. Like, I could talk about it for hours. You need to read this if you love romantasy. The next 5-star read I had was First Time Caller. I listened to this on audio, and BK Borison has been a bit of like a hit or miss for me. Like, I read her Love Light Farms series, and Love Light Farms was okay. I gave it 3 stars. In the Weeds, a masterpiece, 5 stars. I loved it so much. The next 2 books, they just didn't work for me. Didn't like them. I didn't really care about them, is what it is. So I went into this book like a little hesitant. Like, I didn't really think I was going to read it, and then I had a bunch of friends read it and gave it 5 stars, and then my mom read it and absolutely raved. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. I got it on audio, which I personally think is the way to go because there are little like podcast segments and all these things that I feel like really come to life when you listen to it in audio. Phenomenal. Lucy and Aiden have my entire heart and soul. I love them so much. The side characters were all developed really well. The plot was really unique and fresh and fun. I like literally no notes. I loved everything about this. I cannot wait for the spinoff series, and I'm like, this cover for the sequel that's coming out later this year is stunning. I'm obsessed. This series is it. I can't wait to read more. Then I got an arc of one of my most anticipated reads. It's Picture Perfect by Tessa Bailey. It is the 4th book in the Big Shot series. This series, I'm not gonna lie, again, has been a little up and down for me. The first book was Fangirl Down. I gave it 5 stars. Probably my favorite Tessa Bailey book of all time. I loved it so much. Then, in that book, you're introduced to the characters in the Au Pair Affair, which is Single Dad Nanny, and I thought I was going to love it. I thought it was going to be amazing. No, I hated it. Hated every second. I gave it 2 stars, barely. I seriously ranted about this book in my review. I hated it so much, which is an unpopular opinion. Like, most of my friends absolutely loved it. It's just a me thing, but I hated it. Then you get to Dream Girl Drama, and I was really excited for it too. I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. Like, it was solid, but there's a bunch of time jumps in the beginning, and it just really annoyed me. So I gave it 3.5 stars. I didn't even know this book was coming until I saw it announced, and I literally was like, okay, I'm in for it. Like, let's give it a try, because Tessa Bailey books, like, if they are good, they are so good. They're silly and funny and ridiculous and just a good time. And when they're bad, they're terrible. So, like, it's kind of like rolling the dice, a gamble, if you will. Like, what's gonna happen? I rolled, I loved it 1,000 times. So good. This whole story was so much fun. It was fake dating, reformed playboy. He is down bad from the moment he meets her, and I loved everything about it. It was super fun. It was super silly, ridiculous, just a good time overall. Like, 5 stars, so good. Then, as you know, I've been doing my Throne of Glass reread this year. This is like my 5th time reading through the series. It gets better every single time. Me and my friend Hannah from @Bookshelvish are doing this reread together, kind of, and so we've been doing like 1 book a month. And I always say like, oh, I'm gonna do 50 pages a day and do it really slow, and that never works out. I end up like doing that at the beginning and then absolutely binging it, which is exactly what happened with Queen of Shadows. This is my 2nd favorite in the series, pretty much tied with favorite. Like, I love this book. It is so good. There's so many Easter eggs in this book alone that set up like the previous 4 books, but also like foreshadow all these events in the final 3. I really love seeing Aelin come into her own. I cry at the scene when they go to Sam's grave every single time. Manon is really coming into her own. Dorian is the love of my life. I know everyone hates Kale. Like, I get it, but I am not a Kale Westfall hater. I love him, actually. I think that he is, you know, a brat sometimes. I think he's got a lot of growing to do, and I think that he is a person who's been told his whole life one thing and believed in that and believed in the fight that he was doing, only to realize that it was wrong, and now he has to grapple with that and grapple with all these, like, different, like, gray areas, and I think that he's written really unique and really realistic, in my opinion. That's my little Kale soapbox. Anyway, this book was 5 stars. I love it so much. The ending of this book, mind blown every single time. I think next book, I'm going to do Tower of Dawn. I really don't like to do the tandem read. I know that's super popular, but I don't like to switch back and forth. So I'm going into Empire of Storms. Sorry, I said Tower of Dawn. I'm going into Empire of Storms. That's my favorite book in the series. I cannot wait. I think Hannah is actually going to do Tower of Dawn first. So we're going to be on like different books for the next 2 months, but then we'll reconvene back at Kingdom of Ash. So it'll be really fun to see our different perspectives if we do that. And my final 5-star book of the month was Rewind It Back. This is my favorite read of the month, hands down. The Windy City series as a whole has been all 5 stars for me. Like, I seriously loved every single book. I did a ranking on my TikTok, but honestly, that ranking changes every day depending on my mood. That's how much I loved every single book and every single character. Liz Tom 40, like, she wrote Found Family better than anyone else. I think it's tied for the Addicted Calloway Sisters series as my favorite, like, found family based series. Sports romance was so good. The characters were so good. The overarching plot lines were so good. Just like everything about this. This is Rio and Hallie's story. It's second chance, childhood friends, to like enemies-ish, to lovers again. I love this. Rio DeLuca is that man. Like, I am down bad for him and I don't even care. Hallie was super relatable to me. I loved how much music played a part in this story and like what that meant to them as characters and as a couple. When the like big twist was revealed, I already kind of knew what was going to happen, but I still had my jaw on the floor like because of other like nuances to it. Totally wrecked me. The scene where Hallie goes to talk to Rio's mom because she knows how much it means to Rio had me bawling on the floor. Like, I love this book. It is infinity stars, no notes, so freaking good. If you love sports romance, if you love contemporary romance, you need to start the series. Like, it is so good. Also, don't let anyone tell you you should skip Mile High. It is a masterpiece. Like, you need to read it. You need to read every book, every single one. So good. And that is my May reading wrap up. I feel like I did really good sticking to my TBR. I read the majority of them from the TBR I set, which is really good for me. I think I only have like 1 or 2 that were off of it, and I don't even know if it was off of it, if it's just a book that I got that randomly came up. So overall, I feel like I did awesome. I give myself a high five. Way to go, Brie. I set a TBR for June, but I didn't put as many books on it as I previously did because I really want to leave myself open to reading new releases or going where my mood takes me, especially now that we're hitting summer. So that's where we're at. I think overall this was a great reading month. I had a lot of free time, so I got a lot of books in, and I can't wait to see where we go next month. Let me know what you think. Tell me if you've read any of these books, what your favorite read from May was, if I should add it to my TBR. Let me know. I'll see you guys soon.